Cesar, the crowd pleaser. If you need to pick me up, ladies, we gon' change your demeanor. Caesar, the crowd pleaser. We gon' do a little dance, we gon' make the naysayers believe us. Hey girl, had a long day, you tired from work? Throw me some dollars and I'll remove my shirt. You can touch me too, these are the perks. Free yourself, lose your mind and go berserk, and go berserk, and go berserk, and go berserk.
Make way for the bad guy.
What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crowd Pleaser, the podcast that brings you the inside scoop on what it takes to be a male entertainer in today's age. I'm your host, Cesar the Crowd Pleaser. This is going to be episode 44 of the podcast, where I'm going to be bringing on a really good friend of mine. He is a phenomenal entertainer, and be interviewing him to see his career in the industry. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Without further ado, he's been dancing for longer than most entertainers these days have been alive. He's been crowned the King of Kings in the Game of Thrones competition out in Houston LaBare. He's been performing some of the most impressive shows I've ever seen. I mean, I am not exaggerating when I say I stop what I'm doing and who I'm talking to watch this man perform. I want to welcome on the show Lorenzo. What's up, brother?
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we kicked it last night a little bit. You guys had your interview and entertainer that you do every Wednesday, right?
Yes, it's cool. On interview with a dancer is what we call it. Interview with a dancer. We started at 9:30 every Wednesday.
Right on. Yeah, definitely check it out on Facebook. They cover all kinds of topics, very similar to this podcast and whatnot. Bring on entertainers from across the globe. So if you haven't set up a date for it, check it out. Set a reminder, and yeah, check it out because these guys are great. All right, so let's do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. I want to go ahead and thank my patrons first, patreon.com/crowdpleaser. You can give as little $1 a show, and I'll be honest with you, it's really appreciated. It helps fund the show, helps me bring on entertainers and stuff like that, different topics. I got prints going out every month for the various photo shoots I got, and you get plenty of behind-the-scenes perks of the creation process between my shows, my photo shoots, and all that stuff. So definitely check it out. You can pledge as little as $1 a show, like I said, and you can cancel anytime. Next, I want to bring up LaBare, Dallas. This is my home office where I operate 5 nights a week, Wednesday to Sunday, 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. We do private parties where you can hire any of your favorite entertainers to come out to your private venue and do a party for just you and your friends. So definitely check it out. Hello, you want to go ahead and cover LaBare Houston for me, brother?
Yes, I work and reside in Houston, Texas at LaBare 6234 Richmond Avenue. 6234 Richmond Avenue, where you can see some of the hottest entertainment Wednesday through Saturday.
Heck yeah, man. That's what's up. I go down there periodically to go ahead and support my boys, hang out with them, and kick it during their competitions. So definitely, if you're in the Houston area, check them out. You guys also have a couple of things in the works. I believe you have an October tour coming up. Lo, you want to mention that?
Yeah, me and my buddy, man, Foreplay, my business partner, we're setting up a tour where we're trying to travel the whole South America, all the way down to starting in Florida and coming our way back up to Texas. And we're trying to go to South America as well. So like while the times are starting to slow down for most entertainers, we're trying to pick it up and do some traveling and get our name back out there, because we've been kind of incognito here lately, and everybody else is doing shows everywhere, and we're like, okay, it's time for us to get back out there on the road.
Yeah, I understand that. That does sound pretty neat, man. I might have to get offline with you and get some details on that. Maybe jump on it with you for a couple of shows and stuff, because I love seeing new venues. I love traveling, getting the word out there, and just hanging out with you two and sharing a stage with y'all is an honor every time.
Man, we could do that for sure. We'd be honored to have you. We'd be honored.
Right on, man. We'll talk about this offline though.
Okay.
All right, cool. Next up, we have. Let's see. I believe by the time I'll be posting this one, it is going to be past the reunion party at LaBare, Dallas, which is September 21st. But September 30th, I'll be performing an aero routine at Southern Fried Circus Festival. So definitely check that out in Dallas.
Nice.
Yep. And I actually got picked up to do the fetish ball in Dallas.
Oh,
No,
snap.
November 10th, they're doing a electric circus theme. So they want a strong man for their show. I'm going to be doing that. So definitely check it out. A little bit dabbling outside of my quote unquote comfort zone at LaBare and doing some aerial work. And lastly, you can check out the theme song. You can actually purchase and download the theme song to this podcast at CesarTheCrowdPleaser.bandcamp.com. Definitely check it out. Helps me out, and who knows, if I sell enough of these, then I might end up putting together a second theme song for y'all to enjoy.
Oh,
But
cool.
all right, but
You
that
do you, do
what's
you
up?
make those songs yourself? You make those tracks yourself?
The ones for my shows, I do the actual theme song to this show. I hired a professional production company to design it for me.
That's awesome, brother.
Yeah, I ended up getting lucky, and when I was coming back from working in LaBera, Florida, I sat next to a guy, and I was working on my reality show that's on YouTube right now, and he was working on one of his reality shows. So we were sitting there just kind of shooting the crap with each other, talking about editing, and he told me he was part of a production company. I asked him if he made songs from scratch. He said yes, and the rest was history, man.
Man, that's cool. You never know when you're gonna meet somebody that you're gonna have like get in contact with, so you can do some business with. Never
Oh,
know.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's how I met you in Foreplay. You guys came out to
True.
Dallas for a random show. I didn't know who you guys were. You didn't know who I was, but we got to talking in the back, and we just hit it off, man. And you guys are
Yeah.
practically family to me.
Yeah. Since day one.
Yep, true story. Uh, I think it was my boots. I think I was wearing my New Rocks,
Yep. Yep.
and you guys were like, "Man, I remember when those things first started coming in the industry."
Yeah, we're like, damn, how do you dance in those things? Because I'm still trying to wear them. My legs just too heavy.
I feel you. I feel you, man. It's definitely no easy task. I have to adjust my dancing a little bit when I'm in those versus my kicks. So,
Yeah.
but all right, brother, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. We had you on the show, or we have you on the show today to kind of get to know you both in the
Okay.
industry and maybe a little out because, after all, like I said, you're a phenomenal human being through and through. And
Yeah.
more people that know about you, the more lives you can influence. So let's
That's
jump
what's
right at
up.
the beginning, man. Like, what got you into dancing?
Man, to make a long story short, man, I actually got into it because my brother was actually wanting to do it. And I went with him to go try to do the amateur contest. And he had the long hair, he had the look, the body as well. I just came straight from Germany playing football, so I obviously was fit as well. And we walked into a club called Wild Zebra. This was years ago. And the owner was like, okay, which one of you going up, or is both of you going up? I said, well, my brother's here to do the show. I said, you know what? I used to do best chess contests. He's like, well, that's not what kind of show we have right here. And my brother's like, well, what do I have to do? He said, you got to take something off, brother. And my brother chickened out. And I said, well, shoot, I got to do it in front of all these women? Yes, sir. And they're all here for you because everybody knows about the amateur contest. I said, well, hell, I'll do it. And I got up there, man, and made a quick $100 without even taking my pants off, just unbuttoning my shirt. And that created history from there. I said, you know what? I'll be back. He told me to come back, and I chickened it out at first. I chickened out. I was still doing my other career, and I was just like, you know what? I can't do this 4 or 5 days a week. And I wasn't really interested in it at first. And then the guy kept calling me, Kenny Lee, matter of fact, kept calling me. And I said, man, I'm not sure if I want to do that. He said, man, we could use you on our team. I said, well, you know what? If I tell you what, help me out because I don't know exactly what to do. He says, man, all you have to do is show up next. This was back then. It was show up on Sunday, and I give you the breakdown of how everything goes. You know what? Took me about 2 weeks. Took me about 2 weeks, and I showed up on the Sunday. Kenny Lee took me by the hand, introduced me to all these great entertainers, and immediately it felt like a brotherhood with some of the cats in there. I only had a problem with one cat, but that cat eventually took me under his wing and showed me everything. And um, uh, what is his name? 24K. and Mustang and Houston were the guys who welcomed me with open arms. And Randy Master Blaster was there as well. And those guys took me under their wing and said, man, hey, don't do that. Hey, this is what you need to do. This might help you. Try this, try that. And they actually, hey man, I'm gonna make an act just for you. And I said, you're gonna make an act for me? Yeah. You just have to show up and practice. Okay, I could do that. And you know what? Word of advice. When a person that sees something in you trying to give you help, take it. Because that's how you learn and that's how you grow.
Yeah, and you had the motivation. Like that's one thing that you really see the difference of in people that when they start in the industry is some people they're hungry for it, they have the passion for it, they want to succeed, and they want to excel at it, and other people just kind of are cool at coasting. And so when you show that kind of enthusiasm and potential, like you're saying, people
Yep.
want you to become the best person you
Better.
can be.
Yep, they want you to succeed. They want you to succeed. And like I said, when they saw me with my intensity and my determination to want to actually, okay, well, shoot, I made that kind of money without even taking off my pants. I'm all for it. Let's go see what we can do. And I started moonlighting. I was moonlighting. I was still working like an 8 to 5 job, man, and was dancing at night for a while, for a long time, and that's how it started. So like I wasn't consistent at first dancing, and then sooner or later it became my bread and butter.
Yep, I've
You
heard
know?
that story. I mean, shoot, I was part of that story myself. The same thing. I was working 3 jobs when I first started working LaBare, and
Yeah,
slowly but surely, as the clientele and the money started to like increase and stabilize a little bit, is when I started to let go of those other jobs before it became my full time lifestyle. Uh, how
true.
were how were those first couple of years for you? Like, was it just drinking water through a fire hose? Was it a whole new experience? Like, what's up?
Man, it was great for me because I came in when money was not even a problem for women to come in there and throw 300, 400 to $1,000 at a time.
Oh
Each
wow.
woman, each woman. And also I had all these great other entertainers before me took me under their wing, introducing me to the women that did have money and did not have a problem throwing money at all the other entertainers. And the guys back then wasn't really they didn't like nowadays guys try to claim territory or like they try to that's she comes in for me and only me. So you don't talk to her. We didn't have that back then. Guys used to group other guys. Hey man, come sit over here. This girl, she just wants to be able to have company and have good looking guys around her. And you know, if she tips you, she tips you. If she don't, she don't. Are you cool with that? I'm cool with that, as long as we're having fun. You know, and that's how it started. Is like I went in not desperate. I came in just being humble and liking to be around the company that the other guys were introducing me to, and they'll bring their friends to come see me, and then it just kind of like snowballs. It kind of snowballed, and back then, like we're talking about, we used to bring trash bags home, like literally filled up with money,
Oh
filled up.
wow.
Maybe sometimes if we're doing a show out of town, it'll be 2 trash bags full.
Yeah,
And I'm not exaggerating either.
and it's great too because it's half the time it doesn't even feel like work. You're just hanging out with good people, having a good time, sharing laughs.
Right, right. And that was great. And now we have to put a little bit more enthusiasm into our work and show our work ethic for people to actually appreciate what we're doing. And girls know off the bat when they come into the club, either at Dallas to see you or come into Houston to come see me dance, they can tell the guys that are working hard for their money or like they're taking their job seriously. And and that's the difference on what guys can make on their pay scale by their individuality on stage and how their performance is. How they girls actually grade guys, soon as they come in, it takes 15 seconds. Soon as they see you, oh, I'm gonna tip that guy. Oh, I'm gonna tip this guy. Just in the first 15 seconds. So if you're in there slacking or in there being mediocre, you're probably not gonna get tipped.
Yeah, it's definitely very much a business where what you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
sometimes you definitely have to push past that breaking point where, I mean, shoot, it happened to me just this last week. I went up on stage primetime Friday night and we had a good crowd. It was still a little early, but we had a good crowd. We probably had 150 girls in that place. We came
Mm-hmm.
out. I did one of our cowboy productions just to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get the crowd going. And I'll tell you what, I was about 4 songs into my set, like 4 songs into tip time, and already had my pants off before the first lady decided to walk up and tip me.
Wow.
So, I mean, sometimes you got to put forth the work, and you got to have
Yep.
that intestinal fortitude to kind of then the thick skin to be like, you know what, you put forth the best show you are, and you're gonna try to influence whoever you can out there. Sometimes it's your night, sometimes it's not. But if you're not trying, then you're only gonna fail.
That's right. You know what that's called, Caesar? Good work ethic. That's called having good work ethics. Like you didn't get deterred by women sitting and just actually enjoying the show. Then they're sitting up there, oh, this guy's great. Let me go tip him. And then it just started a chain reaction. I have that happen a lot of times. And sometimes it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's rewarding to know that you like, okay, I'm gonna give them everything I got. And if they don't come and tip, something's really wrong. I'm not gonna get strung up and say, the hell with it. Nobody likes me today. I'm going to give them the all I got and leave it on stage. And sometimes there's good days and sometimes there's bad days.
Yeah, I
You know.
completely I agree, and you just have to kind of push through it, man. It's gonna happen. There's sometimes you go on that stage and you just feel like you're king of the world because everyone is losing their absolute minds for
Yeah.
you and throwing money at you. And I mean, like I said, I'll say 100 times on the show, I've seen you perform. You look phenomenal. You have a great body. You are agile. You are creative. You are energetic, and you have great charisma on stage. So to know that a person of that caliber still has their humbling experiences is something that I feel like a lot of people miss. And both on both sides, both the women that watch us perform that think, oh my God, their heads must be huge, and the guys that expect like, oh, these guys are just king of the worlds and everything goes their way every time, which is just not the
Nope.
case.
Nope. Sure ain't. Sometimes it is a humbling and a grounding feeling sometimes when you have to actually go out there and do a little bit more to show the girls that why they're there why they're there, and you have to perform and give the greatest performance they ever seen in LaBare. You want them to say, I've been here before, but I've never seen a guy like that. That's what I want them to think when they leave LaBare every time.
Yep.
That's my thoughts.
So let me ask you, since you've had such a long career so far, how do you feel you've changed as far as your show or your attitude or what you do throughout the course of the years? Like, have you evolved, or is just kind of what you started with has held on and kept you going the entire time? Like, how have you done that?
There is no holding on, brother. You have to grind and you have to constantly evolve into what the industry is. Because back then, we you know what's funny? We used to dance in this gonna sound really, really, really funny, but we used to dance in thongs. So coming from thongs and wearing tassels in front of your little your banana hammock, should we say? We used
Mm-hmm.
to have fringe and thongs on, man, and dance barefooted. To now we wearing big giant boots and fullbacks and shorts, and the costumes are way different now. Like back then, we didn't do. Um, there was always room for costumes like policemen and firemen and the doctor and the marine, as I do it here in Houston LaBare. But we actually wore costumes. So like every time we performed, we made a new outfit. You had to make a new outfit because the girls back then would get bored of your outfit. They didn't want to see the Marine every day. They wanted to see what else can this guy do. So you had to be more creative, I believe, back then than now. Now it's all about, because we have the Chippendales now. We have uh, Thunder from Down Under. We have the Magic Mike Man, and all these other groups that are doing stage performances. San Antonio, the Gallery Club. These guys are putting on very creative shows, and it kind of homes in on, like, guys can actually put on a performance now. Back then, we all had individual outfits, and we showed group routines. Like the biggest routine back then, man, which is still uh, thriving today. What do you think that is? Open arms.
No kidding.
No kidding, brother. We were doing it back then, and let's just say 10+ years. Let's just say that far. That's how long Open Arms been a group act, and there's been different variations on how guys did it, but that song is like Pony is today. Like, Pony is like the natural born. That's the stripper song of the century, right?
Yeah, stripper anthem.
Yeah, the stripper anthem. That's exactly what Open Arms is back then, and it is today too. And but so back to your question, you have to evolve if you want to survive in this industry, because it will eat you up, and you can fall on your face, because I've seen a lot of guys come in with all the tools, looked great body, great attitude, no, were natural born crowd pleasers. Crowd pleaser, Cesar the crowd pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
But they had it all, man. And then, like, because they didn't want to evolve or change, they think they wanted to stay set in their ways, and they just slowly faded away. Like, 2 or 3 years they were gone, and nobody remembered them.
Yeah.
And,
You have to reinvent yourself. If you're going to be here for an extended period of time, you have to reinvent yourself, because you need to appeal to not only the people that have seen you over the course of the years, but also the new fandom that comes out. Because as
yes,
society changes, I'm sure when you first started doing a vampire routine or something like that was probably like unheard of. Like, people are like, what? But
yeah,
once that kind of gothic genre started to, and horror started to become more and more popular, guys are coming up with various vampire themes, because it sold. The crowd dug it,
right.
and so it just is. You have to evolve. Just as society changes, we're in the industry where we have to be one of the most popular things going on, and because that changes so rapidly, you have to change with it.
Even the music.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There's at least one or two songs in my sets that I play sometimes that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I play it because the crowd likes it the most. It gets the girls hype, and that's what's more important.
Yep. True that. True that.
So let me nitpick a little bit, or kind of go back in time. What was the first show you performed? The one that the guys made for you? What show was that?
Man, I did. What was it? I think it was one of them off the top of my head. That what came to mind first was I did a Star Trek act.
No kidding.
Yes, sir. I did.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you got to dish the secrets on that.
Man, that's telling how old I am. I did Star Trek and Smoking in the Boys' Room. Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Yeah, that's what's up.
You remember that was
Yeah.
man? Again, like you were saying, I wasn't a real good fan of the act itself, but it killed it when I did it on stage, and because I got on stage and I sold it. You wouldn't be able to tell that wasn't one of my favorite acts. I liked Star Trek because I'm a freestyle dancer. So, like, Star Trek, you come out and you did like a little bit of acting, a little bit, and then you danced. Smoking in the boys' room was like a boys' band. We did like a skit, like a whole skit and stuff. And if everybody was if one of the guys was off on your routine, it made you look bad. I didn't really like counting on other people back then because I was a sure thing. I always betted on myself. Whereas if one, for instance, if Randy got on stage with me, or this my buddy 24K or Moon, Michael Elliott back then, uh, got on stage with me, I had no worries, and I sold that that act on stage, and the women went crazy. Whereas if those guys wasn't there and I had to throw somebody in there, it was a world of a difference. Like the women could feel the energy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
With the
100%.
with the guys that you have on stage, they're feeling the same energy, and other than the guy that doesn't have the same enthusiasm for their job, which is entertaining the women, they can feel it when you're on stage. And but smoking in the boys' room, man, I tell you, I did that act probably 100 times, and I still to this day can't believe how the women responded to that versus me freestyling and dancing and basically feeling myself. They like to see when guys are on stage. It's kind of like going to watch a football game. Women love that. Women love seeing guys camaraderie. Is that how you say it? Camaraderie.
Yes, camaraderie. Yeah.
Yeah, camaraderie. They women love to see that because that shows that guys actually have, you know, they have nostalgia, like they want to be part of something. And guys who stick together, like when you come down and we're in San Antonio or Houston, and Lo, I need your help. Can you help me do this? For sure, buddy. You can count on me because I ain't gonna let you down. You know what I mean? And vice versa. I'll ask guys, only guys that I know that's gonna put their heart and soul into what they're gonna be doing on stage for me. I won't ask just anybody. You
Hey,
know?
yeah, enthusiasm and commitment on stage radiates. It's clear as day. And if people aren't on par with the amount of effort you're putting out, it's just going to make the entire show uh, that less, not as powerful because you can just catch the difference of three guys, four guys, five guys just throwing out their all, and three guys throwing out their all, and two guys kind of half stepping it.
Half stepping it exactly. It makes no
Um,
difference.
and you were right. It's camaraderie. I don't know
Yep.
why I took the R out. Anyways, so you talked about feeling yourself on the Star Trek one. So, what was your favorite show to perform? Like, whether it was someone else's show or one of yours, what was your favorite show that you can remember performing that you just love doing it every time, where you would almost ask to do it?
Mm, recently or like just later, back in the past,
Whichever. It doesn't matter. Whichever one you
well,
like doing the most. It could be your top
you
two if
know,
you want.
I used to do a show that it's called like a gangster routine, and it's one of my favorite shows. That was one of the things that I love to do because the women constantly came in and asked for me to do that show because I had so much versatility with that set that I pretty much pleased every genre of music lovers, from kind of like tap dance to R&B to rock to jazz to reggae. Like it's all in there. And the guys that I had performing it with me, the women loved to watch us perform together because we were so fluid with each other. And it was a gangster routine that I used to do.
Right
And
on.
I still do it. I still do it. I pull it out the hat every now and then. I still pull it out.
Yeah, it's the one tough thing about having so many routines is that eventually you kind of go through memory lane. You're like, shoot, man, I haven't done XYZ in a long time. I need to do it again.
Yeah.
It's like, do I still remember the choreography? Where are the costumes at?
Oh, for sure, man. And another one that I used to do was King Tut. I used to do King Tut, and women came and asked me to do that here recently in last month. And I'm like, you know what? I would love to do it, but I don't have no guys here that know it. and I don't even know if I can remember the moves. She says, well, it's like training wheels. It's like taking off training wheels. I said, for sure. But like, I wouldn't be able to teach a guy quick enough to put it on and be comfortable with putting it on stage the following week,
Yeah,
because
that's what.
that's how much work I put into it.
No, I totally understand. I have a similar process for whenever people request Joker from me. I only do Joker now when people request it because I need the time to get the guys trained up again, including myself on the routine. There's a lot of production that goes into it, and I want it to be crisp and clean, Las Vegas style quality every time I do it. And so I understand. One
Hey,
thing I have started to do is I make sure that I actually film all my routines 3 times. I film them one way with me counting the choreography or
uh-huh.
just talking through it. I film it with me doing a live rehearsal, like full dress rehearsal, and then I record myself doing it on stage live, and I keep those stored for that exact purpose. So whenever I do
Yeah.
need a refresher on choreography, like I have that to reference.
You know what? I think I was there when you did that act. It was on your birthday. That is one of my favorite acts of yours.
No
The
kidding.
Joker.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
And
were there. I do remember that birthday. Yeah,
yeah.
you guys came in from town. I was honored that
Yep.
you guys made the
We
time for it.
we came all the way there for your birthday, man. And we were blown away with that act. I can see why women come in and request you to do that act, because you can tell you put your heart and soul into that.
Thanks,
It
man. I
was
really
awesome.
appreciate that. Yeah, it was quite it's a little more theatric than I think people are prepared to see when they come to a LaBare, but I mean,
I don't know. It was great. You didn't. You were behind the scenes. You were looking out. I was looking up. Trust me. They who are amazed. They were like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, they were just too busy looking at everything that was going on to say, wow, Cesar, the crowd pleaser. He did that.
I
Like, for
appreciate
real,
that.
man.
I
You need to
appre-
go back and look at that video. I'm sure you had people a lot. I saw a bunch of phones out when you were doing that show. You need to do a recap and look at it. They were amazed. They were amazed, bro.
Yeah, it's I always notice the it's funny because like obviously we're there for the ladies and we put on the best show we can to give them the best experience they can, but it's very humbling and I don't know what's the word for it. There's a better word for it that I'm looking for, but when we go to competitions with each other, I'll go and I brought Conan out to Houston, and it's amazing when you look out and you see all the entertainers watching your show. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's humbling to know that people in the same profession that have their own shows and they have the ability to make money take a moment to sit there and appreciate the work that the other artists are doing.
yes, yeah. And a lot of times you learn that way. Like, you learn from others. Like, you may not do it the same way, but you get creative ideas to see. Well, wow, he stepped out of his comfort zone. Why can't I?
Yep. It's I mean, shoot, the last time I went, I think it was for the Game of Thrones competition. Actually, I went down there and a couple of people blew me away. I remember Boss did his V for Vendetta act, and I was just
That was cold
amazed.
blooded. That
Oh
was
man,
cold blooded, and that was out of his comfort zone. You know,
yeah,
that was
yeah,
out of his comfort zone too. Like, he said it, and I told him as soon as he came off stage, that blew me away. I'm so you done grew up. That's what I told him. As soon as he came off stage, I said, "You done grew up." He's like, "Yeah, man, I was nervous, but I as soon as I got up there, all the butterflies went away." I said, "Sometimes that's what happens, though, and that's when you know that you done evolved, and you know what, I start to adapt."
yeah, yeah. And like I said, that's why I love sitting in the back and just kind of shooting the crap with guys because I mean even creatively, you know what I'm saying? Like I spoke to him after the show to tell him what a great show it was as well. And it was great just being like, yeah, I wanted to do this, but the costumes didn't let that happen and the lighting needed to do like it just kind of all the creative process that goes into it and the trial and tribulations and errors that you have to learn along the way is just phenomenal, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you definitely got to be on top of your game, because it could take that same routine to another building, and it won't. You have to adjust. You have to adjust and adapt, and you may not have the right lighting. You may not have the flooring or just the creative uh, room to do exactly how you set it up for. So then you have to adapt. Like you travel a lot still, and like I've been to a bunch of places, and you're there, and I'm just blown away. Like how I seen it at Dallas LaBare, I seen it at San Antonio, I seen you do it in Houston, and I'm like, man, that guy is really good, because you definitely got it. You have to adapt for where you are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every venue, like you said, the beats and the flooring and the lighting and all those things is very different, and it's just one of those things where it's like you said, you have to step outside your comfort zone. It's really what shows you what you're made of and what you're capable of when you can operate on the fly and still bring that same kind of personality and energy to the stage.
Yes.
So, with that being said, what's one of your favorite things about the business? Like, what really like keeps you going year after year?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I love entertaining. I love entertaining. I love meeting all these new interesting people all the time. The women that come in there to the guys that I work with, that's what keeps me going. Is the environment. Everybody's always happy, and if they're not happy, they come see me and start talking to me, and I make them happy. And it's actually like it's almost like a drug doing it. You
Hmm.
know, it's like you 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 sit there and you get to talk to somebody, and they tell you some of the most intimate details about their life, and they confide in you, and you like you're filling the void for them. You're filling the void for them, and that's like what's so impressive to me. Like how people can sit there and put that trust and want to, and they want to like sit there and tell you some of the most intimate details. That's like crazy to me, because you meet all these interesting people, and you're like, man, I heard the same similar story. I heard the same similar story, and everybody's different, but they have the same story.
Yeah, it's just different paths traveled, but you end up at the same conclusion or the same destination type thing.
Yep, yep, exactly. And like again, it's the people that I've met throughout the years. They keep me going, and the guys that I work with, they keep me going. They always tell me, "Lo, what is your end game? When are you gonna quit?" I tell them all the time, "I'm not gonna quit, man. I gotta go to my buddy's birthday party. Caesar's having another birthday. I gotta go. They're having a reunion up there in Dallas. I gotta go because of all the wonderful people that I have met. I want to see them again." Yes, one of the greatest entertainers that I had the pleasure of working with, that was from Dallas, Angelo. Man, I anytime he asked me to go anywhere with him, he was so much fun, and we had a blast everywhere we went. Those are the kind of bonds that I'm afraid that I'm gonna miss when I do quit. What some of the guys that I had the pleasure of work with, like you, like I'm gonna miss every time you throw a show, or every time you're in the building, wherever you're at, it's gonna be the bomb, and I miss that excitement. I'm scared I'm gonna miss that excitement. I've had times where I've took off a couple of months, like 4 or 5 months at a time, and I'll come back, and I'm like, man, this is what I miss. I don't really miss the the money, because I'm gonna get money no matter what. It's being around a bunch of interesting people, and it's all the time. No matter it's the guys that are coming in or the women that are coming in that I never met before, they're interesting to me, and I love to go on stage and entertain them. Those are the two things that I would say.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. You're completely right, man. Like I understand the fact that you said it's the people that make you keep that lets you keep going. It's that motivate you to keep going. That's exactly it. Like
Yeah, it's not the money.
every
It's not the
time.
money. I'm sorry. It's not what I was saying was, it really ain't. Yes, we're there for the money, but it really ain't the money. It's the environment, the guys, the girls, the people that you're meeting, and like it's like you're constantly having interesting people to talk to.
No,
you know?
yeah, oh, for sure. And it takes one good interaction with someone, an exchange with someone can make your entire night.
Right.
So it's like
Yep.
when you have the potential to have that every night or even quadruple it and have great interactions like that with 5, 6, 10 people in one night, like why wouldn't you want to keep doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like a drug to me. It's like a drug. And entertaining. Getting out there and put putting the act together, putting the act together and actually seeing it light up on stage and getting the feedback that you expected or that you wanted, that's
Mhm.
another high. That's another high that I would miss.
Cool. So what's the flip side of that, man? What's the most frustrating thing you have to deal with about staying in the industry?
Man, management. The way things get handled sometimes, and it's not favorable to the dancers or the guys who actually uh, actually that put in work for years and years and they don't get any credit. Not that I'm looking for any credit, but there's no, like, how you'd say there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty. Like, for a guy to say that he's been there for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years, there should be some credit for having to say that. That's like working like when you work a 8 to 5 job. If you work an 8 to 5 job, after 5 years, there's you get a reward
Hmm.
for that. You know what I mean? And it's like in this industry, some places don't do that. Some places don't do that. They don't give you no credit for that. Or like, okay, for instance, it was interesting enough. One of the guys had came up to me and was saying, "Lo, I saw you talking to this girl, and I didn't see you getting any money. Where did you give her a free dance?" And I laughed at the guy, and I said, "How long have you been dancing?" He says, "Only." What do you mean? Did you get money or not? And I'm like, "Man, listen to me. How long have you been dancing?" And he's like, 4 years. I said, 4 years. I triple that. And I've been in the business long enough to know that you should respect me enough to not even try to bother to fix your lips to come ask me a stupid question like that. I go to my manager and tell him, I say, "Man," oh, because he's like, "Yo, can you, Lorenzo's sitting up here talking to this girl, this, that, and the other. Can you say something to him?" And the management comes to me and says, "Lo, were you doing this? Did she pay you?" And I looked at my manager and I kind of laughed at him. I'm like, "Dude, show me a little bit more respect. You think I've been doing this? I've been in the game this long, not to know what's good and what's bad for business?"
Hmm. Yeah.
And therefore, in other words, management didn't stick on my side. He was trying to listen to his new post up boy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of frustrating because it's like these guys are coming in thinking that they know what exactly to do. Like I said, the tempo of the industry might have changed, but the guys that are in the business still and have been doing it for a long time, we've been through the test of times and know it's just gonna change again. It's gonna change again, and we know how to do it because we've been in it for so long. And it's frustrating when the managers always tries to push you down and not, like, take your side, or like don't give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Or the credibility because
Or
you've done the time.
right, because I've done the time. It's like you don't ask your you don't ask your supervisor, "Hey, is that true what the guy that's working for you said about you?" Like, come on, man. You put me in this position for a reason. Or I'm in this position. On the flip side, for dancers, I'm in this position for a reason. I've been dancing longer than this guy for a reason, you know? And it's frustrating. That's one of the frustrating things that frustrates me, on top of, like, they don't give you the credibility to, like, know, Like if you're getting ready to put up a new show, I have to show him. I have to show him what I'm fixing to do. And I'm like, dude, again, why I could understand if I was a new guy and you don't trust my you don't trust my creativity, but
Yeah.
my record shows my creativity always is being a survivalist. I'm gonna put on probably the best show out there that that I can when I'm putting up a new show. 'Cause it's never me putting a show together. When I create a show, Caesar, I
Mm-hmm.
usually try to act like I'm going to go compete. So I don't never, like you were saying, being mediocre. I don't try to do nothing mediocre. So whether it's a single man show or a group show, I try to make it set up for a group show, but I can do it by myself. And when I get judged by my peers or senior
Staff.
peers or my management staff, yeah, and they're asking you, hey, did I give you the okay to do that show? And I'm like, come on, man. I've been doing this long enough. You know I am the king of Houston, right? The king of all kings of Houston. Like I wouldn't put up no stuff that's gonna embarrass me or embarrass the establishment.
Yeah, your
So
reputation should precede you, and understand you have the history of succeeding and putting the best foot forward. Like it
true.
should give you the credibility where they give you the benefit of the doubt, so to speak.
Right. Right. Just like if you know, like fighters, in instance, like fighters, they're getting ready to fight a prize fight, and you're 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 doing all your training for this individual, this other prize fighter. But sometimes the guy goes in, the other prize fighter will go in there with all his tools that he's been practicing with and changes the game. And the trainer has to trust what he's doing. And that's why he's a prize fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
was a good analogy or not, but that that was the one off the top of my head. Is like a prize fighter, they could practice all day long, but sometimes when they get in there and you're actually in it, you have to change the game up a little
Yeah,
bit,
you have to
and
improvise.
you have to improvise it. And that trainer knows my guy is good enough. I know he's doing that because he sees something that I don't see.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see
You
where
know,
that would be one of the most
and
frustrating things about the business, especially when you've been in it for extended period of time and you see management come and go, and they kind of bring their own thing to the table and change it up, and they neglect the fact that you've been doing the game and running the business longer than they've been in it, period.
right,
So,
right,
right on, man. Well, it's something that comes ebbs and flows. Sometimes it ends up being better when you get better management, or they stick around and kind of adjust. And sometimes it's something you have to deal with.
yeah,
I do understand what you're talking about, though, where you kind of wish sometimes they took your side a little more than they do. But such is life. I mean, you'll find that everywhere you go.
yeah, true that.
Speaking of everywhere you go, though, let's dabble outside the industry a little bit, man. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what do you like to do outside of the industry? Like, I know you and I have talked about riding our motorcycles a couple of times and stuff like that, but what else you got?
Man, I love training. I love training. I love bowling. I love to obviously what you were saying. I love my bikes, man. I love I got a Harley and I got an R1, and any chance I get to hop on them, I could go to the store around the corner. I'm gonna hop on them. You know. I also like to. I also like to. I love music. I love music. So I'm constantly trying to figure out the new trends of the music industry. Like, what's the new dance? What's the new style of dance? And it amazes me how the trend keeps changing within a year. You know, within a year, within a month's time, we were doing the, you know, we were doing different dance moves from month to month.
Yeah.
What were they doing? They were doing teach me how to Dougie. Now it's
Oh yeah,
doing
like Kiki or
they're
whatever.
doing the Kiki. Yeah, doing the Kiki, and I love it. I love watching it. I love staying on top of that, looking at videos. Mostly I love sitting on YouTube. Sit on YouTube and just watch videos, man.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I've been victim of that myself. You start going down, you're like, oh, I want to see this, whatever. You find one video and they're like, oh, things you might like, or what about this and this and that. And before you know it, 2 hours have passed. And you just been going from one video to the next, and you have like 3 new routines you want to come up with and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, true.
I hear you. So, do you have your own bowling ball, or do you still just use the alleys when you get there?
I still have to rent them. I still have to rent them, but I like the sound of the ball clinking against the pins, man, and actually getting that 300 up there every now and then is thrilling to me.
Oh, no kidding. So you're that
Yeah,
good, huh? Damn.
yeah, man, I can do some, man.
Well, shoot, we might go hit the lanes a couple of times when I come back into town, or when you come
That's
up
cool.
here.
Yeah, I love it. It's a little bit of it's a stress reliever as well.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you I'd give you competition, but I'll be honest with you, most of the time I just shoot to break 125. So
Hey, that's all right though. Try and try again.
yeah, and the crazy thing is I actually had my own ball when I was younger. My uncle gave me his old one, and
Hmm.
I would go and bowl the hell out of it. I mean, granted, it was heavier than I needed at the time, but yeah, I do enjoy throwing. Like you said, definitely, it's a good feeling when you get that strike or even pick up a tricky spare. You feel
Yeah.
pretty good about yourself at that point.
Yep.
Well,
I
shoot, man.
love it.
I might have to set up an entire day to go out, hit the lanes, and go ride for a little bit, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. You know what? We was talking about doing a bike rally, like for the LaBare guys.
Yeah, it's just it is coordinating strippers, man. It's difficult getting us all on the same timetable.
I know everybody's got something different that they're doing.
Yep. All right, man. I'm gonna hit you up with one last question, then we'll move into our best and worst events of the week. Do
Okay.
you, if for any entertainers that are up and coming, guys that have been in the industry for less than a year, or even guys that are listening to this podcast considering coming in, what's one or two pieces of advice you'd give them that would really kind of go the distance?
Man, do your research. Do your research.
All right, like give you a little more specific on them.
Okay. Do your research. Like, know what you're getting yourself into. Like, it's more to it than just hopping in and dancing on stage. You have to uh, know what you're eating so you can stay, uh, in great shape. It's about your diet. It's about working out. It's about your costume. It's about your dancing, and and like what are you bringing to the table? Like, because that's what most people are slacking on, is that they don't do their research. And oh man, I could dance, and then they don't they come in there and they're looking great, and then they start off with their diet slacking. You know, they start slacking on their diet, and then next thing you know, they have a terrible body. So like, they think, okay, I can get in the door if I just work out real hard for 3 months, and then I go in there and my body's gonna stay the same. No, you got to keep it up, buddy. You got to keep it up, and you have to listen. You have to take constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because, like you said, guys are going to help you out, especially when you're making the same mistakes they see people make time and time again.
Yeah, and then what they'll do is, well, I'm not gonna do it that way. Okay, I've seen it about 1,000 times.
Such is life, man. The trials and tribulations of youth.
Tell you exactly, you know. But those are the two best things I could say. Do your research and take constructive criticism.
Right on. Yeah, I think those are pretty wise words, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, brother. So every week, I mean, you get it all the time. You've been in long enough to know that people will constantly, when they find out that you're a stripper, hey, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you? What's the best thing that's happening to you, et cetera, et cetera. So on this show, I end the show with exactly that, kind of answering listeners' questions without them even asking. So first thing we talk about our least favorite event of the week. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to the industry, but obviously if it can, that's better. And then we go into the best event. So I'll kick it off, and then you can take yours. So for me, my worst event actually happened last night, and it was nothing crazy. It was a chill night. Probably had about 50 girls in the club last night for a Wednesday night,
Hmm.
and there was a group of ladies that are sitting up by the stage, the front rail that we have near the shower, and they first timers, all first timers, but they were having a great time. They were a little timid at first, but half the group started to kind of warm up, and I ended up doing a skit that put three of the girls, including the bachelorette, up on stage. They had a blast. They actually all threw money when they were done, which was really neat.
Wow.
I thought that was super cool for first timers to do and stuff. So they're really nice ladies. There was a lady who was at the front of my stage. So I went up to her as usual, talked to her for a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean like, hey, how's your night going? Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And she ended up just speaking some kind of gibberish to me. Like, it wasn't like she was possessed in her tongue. She was speaking in tongues, but I didn't understand a word she said.
Uh-huh.
And she didn't really want to touch me, but she kind of did. But she was leaning over the stage and stuff. So I was like, all right, clearly you're a little inebriated. And
Yeah.
so we're good. Like, all right, thank you very much. You have a good night. I moved back. And so I continue entertaining. The girls from that group came up again periodically. Two of them took a fancy to me, so they came up, tipped me a couple of times because, like I said, it wasn't a crowded evening. And that same lady comes up again, and she comes to the front of the stage, and she's like bending over the stage and leaning over, and like not really saying anything and moving like she's a hippie at who knows where at Woodstock and stuff. And she's slamming on the stage. And I'm like, you know what? Like, you already had your chance. I don't really need to interact with you again. So I just kept
Yeah.
my distance and kept entertaining. And at some point, I go over to one of the ladies from the bachelorette party again, and I'm talking to him. And I guess the drunk lady gets so frustrated that she walks over and like somewhat bear hugs, but grabs the girl I'm talking to, and then she's like gibberish. She like says some more gibberish, and then walks off. And the lady is just looking at me. I'm like, look, please don't let that be, the experience that stands out at the club or whatever. She's like, no, that was just weird as heck, but it's all good. We're having a great time. And I mean, that was it. It wasn't too crazy, but it's just some of the stuff that we randomly deal with where, I mean, I couldn't help that lady if I wanted to because she just wasn't even speaking English. Like,
Right.
I mean, I
She was
literally,
out of her mind.
yeah,
She was white girl wasted.
yeah, no joke, man. So, it's a thing that we have to deal with from time to time. And sadly, sometimes other ladies have to deal with it as well, like that one did, but she handled it well. And, but I mean, I could tell like all three of them were kind of looking at her like, what is she still doing here? But such is
Yeah.
life, man.
Yeah.
How about you, brother? What was your least favorite event of the week?
This week, um, let me see. Man, I tell you, I had a girl come up to the stage with her boyfriend,
Okay.
and like, it's one of those things like we don't mind if guys come in there, but when you come in there, please sit at the bar or just be respectful. Don't don't do anything that might get yourself in trouble. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the guy comes up. He comes up to the stage with his girlfriend, and I had to kneel down and say, "Hey, buddy, I appreciate you coming to the stage, but there's no guys around the stage." And the girl had a bunch of money. He was giving her money, but he didn't. He didn't. He wanted to throw the money. He wanted to throw the money, and I had to make a conscious decision and say, "Yo, man, I really appreciate it, but if you can kindly step away from the stage and let your girl tip, I'll greatly appreciate it." And it sucked because she wanted to throw he was giving her money to throw on me, but I had to like refrain from it because he was being a little bit disrespectful because he didn't want to step away from the stage. So I didn't want to be the guy to be like, yeah, he's getting tipped by a guy in there.
Yeah,
So
it's something that we have to battle on a regular basis. Obviously, because there's plenty of mixed clubs and go-go dancer type establishments and stuff like that. And LaBare really focuses on catering to women, so it's one of those things where we try to maintain that environment as much as we can. And sometimes, obviously, as the years progress and the lines get blended more and more,
Mm-hmm.
there's more flexibility in there, but the stage is kind of one of those things where that's what everyone is looking at. That's where everyone's attention is. And it's
Right.
really difficult to, like you said, kind of maintain that. I mean, even at our club, it's the same thing. Like we used to have a similar rule where everyone had to stay behind a certain point and this and that. And now with incorporations of like, bachelorette parties and stuff like that, that come in with 12 ladies and 2 guys, it's hard to tell them like, hey, you have to all sit back here or those 2 guys. So we've opened most of the club up to stuff like that. But the main stage is still kind of one of those things where we like it to be strictly ladies because it's just
Right.
that environment that we're trying to maintain.
Right. And they thinking we're singling them out, and we're like, no, man. For real. I actually, when I got off stage, I actually went to her. I said, man, I wasn't trying to be a
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be a. It's just one of our rules, man. But I do appreciate you walking your lady out there to try to tip me. But you know what? Let me buy your shot. You know,
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
things. He thought I was being rude, and I'm like, nah, man. We just don't allow that here.
Yeah.
And
And I've done that myself as well, where it's one of those things like, hey, we can have a conversation if you want to, at the bar or something like that. It's just main
yeah,
stage is a different kind of environment.
true.
And sometimes there's a little bit of alcohol involved, so they might not necessarily realize what they're doing until after the fact. And like you
Right.
said, once you went and actually explained everything to them, smoothed it over, life was all grand. So
Everything was grand, yeah, man. And he turned out. I bought him a shot. He started buying me drinks, and I was like, "That's cool." But I was sitting there with him and his old lady, so ended up getting a dance from her.
sweet,
So
right
everything
on.
was
Yeah,
good. Yeah, that's one of the things that happened this past week.
yeah, it does. Like I said, it kind of eventually, if you've been dancing long enough, everyone's gonna have some type of interaction like that, and you just kind of handle it the best you can.
Yeah.
Moving right along, man. My best event is actually kind of funny because it involves one of our young bucks, and it's a little bit of bad. It's like a little bit of a negative, but honestly, it didn't bother me at all, and it ended up becoming a real good positive. So it's definitely one of my best events of the week. Ironically, it was the same stage or the same night as that I told you when the lights went out. Or I'm sorry, no one was at my main stage. So, anyways, let me give you a little
Uh-huh.
pretense. So, this young buck goes up on stage and he ends up having a bad set. He's quite the entertainer. He's a fan favorite, so he normally doesn't have a bad set, but he ended up having a bad set. And for whatever reason, whether he's having a bad day or he's just a perfectionist like I am, or he just really wants to put his best foot forward and he had to question himself, he came back to the locker room pretty upset
Hmm.
to the point where he was venting out loud and stuff like that. And it was very clear that he was extremely upset that he had a bad set. And, I just kind of kept to myself because he wasn't in the mood to hear anything. But I knew, I'm like, look, that's good. In my head, I'm like, that's going to happen. You just got to roll with the punches. Eventually, I ended up telling him that later on, once he cooled off on side stage, I helped and let him know. But, it was what it was. So we fast
Hmm.
forward about a week later. I go up for my second set of the night. I did Cowboy for the first set. I go up for my second set and I do my show. Everything's going great. I got the crowd going, whatnot. I prep, start ripping my pants off, get ready for it. And right when the beat drops, I'm supposed to rip my pants off in this big climactic way because we're showmen. The
Yeah.
lights go off, completely black. The stage just
Wow.
blacks out. Yeah. And they stay off for probably another like minute and a half, and so I'm still entertaining and stuff like that and whatnot, and it ends up being a pretty good set, like not crazy good but good. And I go
Hmm.
to the back and that young buck ends up being there, and I look at the DJ. I'm like, hey man, he came back. He's like, hey dude, this and that, said something. And I was like, hey, question, man, like, did you do the lights on purpose or was that an accident? Because I totally thought you got me good. Like, if you did, that was a great joke. Like, the timing on it was absolutely perfect. Because he does that sometimes, changes guys' songs at different times just to mess with them.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, no, man, that was 100% the computer that just messed up. And it happens. I've had other stage malfunctions with my acts and stuff during really bad timings because of technical issues. And I was like, oh, man, cool. Well, life sucks. Like, that's what happens. But the stage was good. Way to recover and this and that. I totally thought you were just trolling me because the timing was so perfect. He's like,
Yeah.
no. And so then I go back to my locker and I look, and the young buck is just looking at me, shaking his head. And I'm like, hey, man, what's up? Like, is everything all right? He's like, it's eye opening to see that you can have 2-3 things mess up on your stage, prime time, and like you just shrug it off and laugh at it and you keep going. Like that is definitely something that I need to incorporate in the way I do business and kind of drive on. I was like, man, it's no big deal. It's a stage. You're gonna do
Yeah.
thousands of stages over the course of your career, and some nights you're gonna be king of the world, and sometimes you're not. And it just is like, why stress out about something that's gone? It's in the past. You can't change it. Now I can go on side stage and do the best I can to win people over again.
Right.
And yeah, it was an eye opening experience for him. And physically seeing him hit that click point and adjusting
Yes.
his persona and his mentality to that was awesome. It was really rewarding to just kind of give a life lesson without even trying to.
Right. He saw firsthand how you handled the situation instead of blowing up, and you could have got mad. You could have got mad and blew up at the DJ with the light system and everything. But like being a professional that you are, and he was sitting up there watching how you're gonna react, and you didn't even know that he was paying attention that much. But it showed him the poise that you have and the professionalism, and he learned something that day. And I know that's probably rewarding to you, seeing that here's this young guy and he's watching how you're supposed to keep your composure all times.
Yeah,
And
you know exactly how that goes. Being a traveling entertainer as well, when you go on road shows and you're dealing with a DJ and a stage that isn't your own, and they have no idea. It's one thing when you go to another LaBare or another male strip club because of the fact that the DJs and stages are accommodating to that and they understand what they're doing. But when you go to a
right,
venue that's never had a show like ours, you're gonna deal with a lot of technical issues, and
yes,
you can't let it ruin your show. You just got to drive through and push on because half the time people aren't even going to notice.
right. They don't even know. They don't even know. They'll skip a heart. You'll skip a whole heartbeat and mess up what bringing only like you do the fire act. You only have one fire stick, and they will never know the difference.
Yep, true story. They won't notice anything technical, but they will see your face and your frustration if you let that happen. You know.
If you let it happen, that's right. They feed off of that. They feed off of that. They watching everything that you're doing.
But yeah, man, that was my
Yeah.
best event of the week. Definitely a little
Wow.
bit of a negative, but like I said, it turned into a big positive really quickly. So
Well, mine's easy. I can tell you exactly. Me and Play uh, was trying to figure out. As we say, we try to put on a new show every chocolate Sunday. Every chocolate Sunday that we do, which we do every month, depending on what time of the month it is. We
yeah.
do it every month, but we don't know the exact date until closer to that date.
Oh
Like we
wow,
just
that's
finished.
a lot of creativity.
Yes, we do a different show every month. So the one that we just came up with this past month, it was our chocolate Sunday all white affair. So we came out and we said, you know what, we kind of look like Jodeci and H Town. Why don't we do a whole throwback uh, hip hop act? Like just let's just throw a bunch of old songs that were number one hitters and play them and do like a improv. And the only thing we really came up with was our intro, and we never actually physically practiced side by side with each other. We just talked about what we're gonna do. But here's the thing, though. As you know, he and I probably dance still together more than anybody out there. We dance together that much that we know exactly our movements and what to expect next.
Yeah, you guys are in
Sometimes,
sync subliminally.
yeah, subliminally, yeah, like twins. And so I was still on him. Hey, Play, we have to get together so we'll know what we're gonna do. Like, man, I got this going on. I got this. He had a tragedy in his family. Uh, may his aunt rest in peace. But like, we couldn't make the time, whatever the case might have been. And soon as we get to the club, he says, "Okay, Lo, we're gonna do this song, this song, and this song, this song, and this song. Do you have the intro?" I actually came up with the intro, made the intro, gave the intro to the DJ. He says, "Did y'all practice?" I said, "No." He said, "What do you mean you didn't practice?" I said, "No, we didn't practice, man." He said, and he says, "All right, I hope it comes out good." I said, "Will we ever let you down?" We already knew it was going to take off. Soon as I did the intro, Foreplay didn't even listen to the intro. He didn't even listen to the intro. And
That's
immediately,
crazy.
yeah, when he says, "Okay, hey, we're going to jump in front of these other guys because the other guy wants to wait to go up on stage." No problem. Well, dang, Play, we didn't even get to go over it. You didn't even get to hear it. Don't worry. As soon as it come on, we'll just play with it. Why? We go on stage. We get ready. We prep. Get out there. The music starts. From the first moment we walked out and our first song dropped, he looked at me and I looked at him. He says, "Oh, we got that," because the women already started screaming by just the intro.
That's
By
so
just the
good.
intro. Yeah, it felt great because we were like, man, I was all spazzing out. You get the butterflies. We still get the butterflies. As long as I've been doing it, I still get the butterflies on a new show, trying to be more creative, think outside the box. And this is one of the things that we came up with, was we was going to try to improv, but tech obviously we was going to try to know exactly, okay, we're going to do this on this song. We're going to do this on this song. We didn't get to do none of that. We just knew our body language told what we're gonna do. And I'm telling you, it went off without a hitch. And everybody came up to us and says, "Man, that was probably one of the best shows y'all done."
That's absolutely incredible. Wow.
Yeah, man. So we get out there with the intro, and we're banging the intro, and I'm like, "Okay, you remember the old song Superman, right?"
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Soldier Boy. Oh, so
Yes. Yeah.
all old school music. All the one hitter quitters, like everything. When you hear it in the club, or if you hear it, everybody automatic. You don't even like the song, but you're gonna start dancing and singing to it. That
Mm-hmm.
was our whole idea. And because everybody knew it, we had the whole club doing exactly what we were doing
That's
on
got to be
stage.
an
Like,
amazing feeling.
yeah, man, it was amazing. And like, we got on the main stage, and again, we're like yin and yang, man. We just fed off of each other and vibed and knew what next move we're gonna do. And it was a very, very. I was like, wow, it really working. I'm like, wow, it's really working. Whose idea was this? And it was great though. It was great because I'm glad that it turned out that way, because us not knowing what to expect made us work that much more harder when the song actually came on. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like
for sure. Yeah,
I
you
know.
just feed off that vibe, both off of each other and the crowd, and you just threw down. Like you both are
Yep.
amazing entertainers, so you
Yes.
brought that same experience and intensity, and just threw down, and the crowd loved it.
And they loved it, and I was like, man, I'm so glad we pulled that off. We danced for 32 minutes.
Holy crap!
That's how, because the other guy wasn't ready. The other guy wasn't ready, so they left us out there, and we danced for 32 minutes from start to end. That's crazy. And the girls were up at the stage the entire time, and we were up there clowning and putting on these dance moves that people were like, "Wow, y'all didn't y'all didn't rehearse none of that." Nope, not one bit. We talked about it over the phone without actually physically rehearsing side by side, and it turned out great. and that's rewarding because, like I said, I was the main one freaking out. He had other things going on, and I was freaking out. I'm like, man, we should just go to a go-to routine that we know. Nah, man, we got to give him something new. Well, it's gonna be real new, buddy, because
Yeah,
we
real
don't
new.
even know what we're doing, you know. And that was one of the most exciting things that happened this week, and that was this past Sunday at our event.
Yeah, that's an incredible story, man. That's so cool that you guys have the ability to make that happen.
Yeah, true, very true, man. And I you know what? I I I like vibing off of him because we collectively put things together, and it always seems to be great. Not good, but great. Like I said, we did not practice. We just talked about what we were gonna do, and we pretty much. I can't dance like him, and he can't dance like me, but we can dance like each other when we need to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it just works great because like I said, we talked about it over the phone, and we made it happen. And it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible and inspiring, man. Like, gosh, oh, so much to learn, so much to learn still.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. Well, brother, cool. Well, that was the best and worst events for the week for us. Let's dive
Yes.
into our social media. Go ahead and plug in. Where can people reach you if they want to contact you or hit you up and find out about your show and stuff?
Well, you can Instagram me or Facebook me at Club Low LaBare. Club Low LO space LaBare anytime, or you can reach us on our Facebook channel at Nico Foreplay Nico at LaBare.com.
Awesome.
Or is it? Yeah, every Wednesday at 9:30.
Yeah, definitely check it out. The interview with a dancer. They're great guys, super entertaining, as you just heard on their best event. Like they jive off each other really well, and you gotta check it out. They're absolutely phenomenal to watch. You can
I
reach,
appreciate that.
yeah, definitely, man. You guys, whenever you need me to be on there, just give me a heads up, and I'll be more than welcome to help you guys out because you guys are family.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate it.
All right, you can find me at Cesar Collazo, COLLAZO on Facebook. On Instagram and Twitter, I am Cesar LaBare7. And then you can catch all things Cesar, my cosplay, my modeling, my fire dancing, my aerial stuff, my photo shoots, all that at CesarTheCrowdPleaser.com, where you can also find the link to download the theme song to this podcast. All right, and once again, you can catch this podcast on YouTube, on SoundCloud, and on iTunes at Cesar the Crowd Pleaser. And definitely go out there and share this with one of your friends or coworkers or family members and just give them the insight if they've ever been curious about the industry of what it's all about, and check out some more. Lo, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I know as entertainers that we are busy during the day as well. I mean, the job, the career is a lifestyle. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show and giving the public a little bit of insight into our industry and yourself, man. So thank you.
Cool. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, that's a show. Until next time, keep bringing the rain.
I am focused, I'm in my zone. You can binge watch like Game of Thrones. Reserve your judgments, don't throw no stones. Who's and I scream as loud as you don't. Airplane mode on tablets and phones. Caesar's crowd pleasers, yes now on. Caesar, the crowd pleaser. If you need to pick me up, ladies, we gon' change your demeanor. Caesar, the crowd pleaser. We gon' do a little dance, we gon' make the naysayers believe us.